Hello and welcome. Let's begin the news with 2024 UK elections. Starmer pledges national renewal after Labour victory. Biden rejects calls to step aside, says he's staying. Gas leak at Malaysia airport seekens 39. US sends new fighter jets to Japan in $10 billion force upgrade, and violent attacks shock France before crucial vote. Talking UK's 2024 election, Keir Starmer, UK's Prime Minister-elect, has vowed to kickstart an era of national renewal after his Labour Party brought an end to 14 years of Conservative rule. The 61, in a dawn victory speech on Friday, said the British people had delivered an opportunity for the United Kingdom to get its future back and restore the country to the service of working people. Starmer, an ex-public prosecutor and human rights lawyer, said he will strive to show that politics could be a force for good. Labour sailed past the 326-seat threshold for a parliamentary majority early on Friday morning, putting it on course for a landslide victory against outgoing Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservatives. Exit polls suggested the party will pick up 410 seats to give it a 170-seat majority in the House of Commons. The Conservatives were on track to win 131 seats, which will be the worst result in its history. Sunak said he took responsibility for the defeat after voters delivered a sobering verdict on his government. Labour's commanding win comes amid extensive discontent with the state of the economy and public services. Under the Tories, economic growth flatlined, the cost of living rose, and hospital waiting lists increased. Britons had on average 10,200 euros, that's 12,900 pounds rather, 12,950 US dollars less to spend or save in total during 2010 to 2022 when compared with 1998 to 2010 economic growth rates, according to one analysis by a prominent research institute. Starmer, who took over from left-wing leader Jeremy Corbyn in 2020, campaigned greatly in reviving the UK's economic fortunes amid widespread anxiety over perceived national fall. As part of efforts to bring Labour back to the centre after its worst defeat since 1935, at the last election, Starmer promised not to raise income taxes or VAT and to make wealth creation a major priority. However, Starmer is broadly seen as having limited room to make bold policy choices as the UK buckles under its highest tax and debt burdens in decades. In his victory speech on Friday, Starmer acknowledged that the tax ahead would not be easy. Still sticking with electoral matters, on US 2024 election, Joe Biden, United States President, has slapped down calls to end his faltering re-election bid, insisting he's not going anywhere. Biden, 81, has been under rising pressure to assuage doubts about his physical and mental fitness following a stumbling debate performance last week against his Republican challenger, Donald Trump. Since Thursday's debate, 3 elected Democrats have publicly called on Biden to step aside, during which the president stumbled over his words and lost his train of thought on several occasions. Many other Democratic lawmakers have publicly cautioned that they expect him to lose to Trump in November's presidential election. Addressing a supporter who yelled "Keep up the fight" during an Independence Day celebration on Thursday, Biden reiterated that he had no intention of quitting the race. Biden promised to keep fighting, describing his faltering debate performance as a bad night in a pre-recorded radio interview that aired earlier on Thursday. Despite rising fears about Biden's electability among Democrats and donors, the president has so far avoided a mass revolt against his candidacy from within his own ranks. On Wednesday, a group of Democratic governors repeated their support for Biden after a meeting with him and Vice President Kamala Harris at the White House. Maryland Governor Wes Moore said, according to report, "The president has always had our backs. We're going to have his back as well." Still, cracks continue to emerge in Biden's support base. On Thursday, Seth Moulton, a congressman from Massachusetts, became the 3rd elected Democrat to call on Biden to withdraw from the race. Away from electoral matters, now authorities have said a gas leak at Malaysia's major international airport has left 39 people ill. On Thursday, fire services responded to a report of a chemical leak at an aircraft engineering facility separate from the passenger terminal at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, the Selangor State Fire Department said. Local rescue officer Mohammed Nukari Samsumin said in a statement that a total of 39 victims suffered from dizziness and nausea. 14 of the patients were sent to the air disaster unit to receive treatment, while one was hospitalized, according to authorities. All of those affected work for 3 firms operating at the facilities. Officials said the incident did not affect passengers or flights and that there was no wider risk to public safety. Police said the gas leak had been traced to a skid tank that had been left unattended for 9 years. Mohammed Noor said the leak gas was identified as methyl mercaptan, which is added to liquefied petroleum gas to give it a smell similar to rotten cabbages so that leaks can be detected. Work to cover the leak was being done by the emergency crew, he said. Meanwhile, the Defense Department announced on Wednesday that the U.S. military will send dozens of its newest fighter jets to Japan as part of $10 billion upgrade of its forces in the country. The Pentagon said the effort will be carried out over the next many years to enhance the U.S.-Japan alliance, boost regional deterrence, and strengthen peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. The modernization plan will see 48 fifth-generation F-35A fighter replace 36 F-16s at Misawa Air Base in northern Japan and 36 brand-new F-15EX jets deployed to Kadena Air Base on the southern island of Okinawa, replacing 48 older F-15C/D models that have been pulled from the region in the past year. The Pentagon the statement released said. At Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, just south of Hiroshima on the main island of Honshu, the number of deployed F-35B aircraft will be modified, the Pentagon said, without giving specific numbers. Japan said basing the latest fighter aircraft in the country will enhance U.S. capabilities there. Chief Cabinet Secretary Hoshimasa Hayashi, the government's top spokesperson, said on Thursday that in the face of the most severe and complex security environment since the end of World War II and amidst the increased military activities of neighboring countries, the United States is maintaining and strengthening the presence of U.S. forces in Japan to further enhance the deterrence and response capabilities of Japan-US alliance. Japan's alliance with the U.S. has become increasingly significant in a region that is seeing China, Russia, and North Korea all pose threats that Tokyo seeks to counter. Japan has festering territorial disputes in the north with Russia and with China over islands in the East China Sea. Meanwhile, North Korea's growing missile program, which has seen Pyongyang send missiles over Japanese territory in recent years, draws condemnation from Tokyo with every projectile test. Japan also keeps a wary eye on the situation surrounding Taiwan, the self-ruled democratic island that the Chinese Communist Party has vowed to bring under Beijing's control by force if necessary. As much as 90% of Japan's energy supply come via sea lanes close to Taiwan, according to Tokyo, which sees the status quo around the island as vital to its security. Okinawa is only around 450 miles to 725 kilometers from Taiwan, and both the US and Japan maintain key air bases on the island. Back to electoral matters in France, as a rising number of candidates and activists in France have been aimed with violent or verbal attacks in the run-up to Sunday's 10th final round of parliamentary polls. Prisca Thévenot, government spokesperson, was putting up election posters with her deputy and a party activist in Meudon, southwest of Paris, when they were brutally assaulted by a young gang of youths. Other election campaigners have come under attack across France, showing the burning mood in politics, with the far-right National Rally RN the front-runner in the election. The reason for the attack on Thévenot and her colleagues is not clear, but she returned to Meudon on Thursday with Prime Minister Gabriel Attal, who condemned attacks of untolerable cowardice. Images showed the youth swarming around the candidate, her deputy Virginie Lanlot, and a party activist for President Emmanuel Macron's Assemble Alliance. Thévenot said, according to reports, that when she and her colleagues objected to the youth defacing party posters, they immediately attacked one of my activists, injuring Virginie. Lalo suffered an arm injury while the activist was punched and hit with a scooter, ending up with a broken jaw. The car windscreen was also smashed by the scooter. 3 teenagers and a man aged 20 were apprehended by police, and the incident was quickly condemned across the political spectrum. Attal called on people to reject the climate of violence and hatred that's taken hold, while RN leader Jordan Bardella said one of his big commitments as Prime Minister will be to combat record insecurity and repeat offending. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin has announced that 30,000 police will be deployed across France for Sunday's vote in an effort to stop the ultra-left or ultra-right from stirring up trouble. On more stories now, Moscow captures key hilltop town in Ukraine. Russian troops have taken control of parts of a major hilltop town in eastern Ukraine, a strategic gain that could pose major problems for Ukrainian forces trying to defend the area from further advances. The relatively small town of Chaziv Yar has played an outside role in the battle and has been battered by months of extreme fighting. Sitting on high ground, it is seen as a gateway to the parts of the Donetsk region that are still in Ukrainian hands. The town overlooks the lower lying areas to the north, towards the bigger cities of Kramatorsk and Slovansk, and to the west towards the Dnipro-Torsk region. On Thursday, the Russian Defense Ministry said that its troops have taken over the easternmost district of Chaziv Yar. A spokesperson for the Ukrainian military, however, said key forces retreated from the district after their defensive positions were destroyed, and it became clear that efforts to hold onto the neighborhood were becoming inexpedient because of the risk to the defending troops. Nazar Voloshin, the spokesperson for Ukraine's Kortizia Operational and Strategic Grouping, said, according to reports, that over the last day, 238 attacks from all types of weapons were recorded in the Chaziv Yar area. At the same time, Ukrainian monitoring group Deep State said Russian forces were reportedly moving towards a strategically important road that links Bakhmut, which has been in Russian hands for over a year, with Konstantinivka and Provosk. The road is a major supply line for Ukrainian military. The withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from parts of Chaziv Yar is a troubling development for Kyiv, as it aims on stabilizing the front lines following months of intense Russian assaults. Moscow took advantage of the dire shortages of ammunition experienced by Kyiv due to delays in Western military support in the first half of this year, trying to pierce Ukraine's defensive lines alongside the eastern front line. It even launched a surprise cross-border offensive in northern Ukraine in order to force Kyiv to pull some troops away from the east. But the situation was beginning to look better for Ukraine in recent weeks after Western weapons finally started arriving on the front lines. A possible key Russian offensive towards Kharkiv, the second largest Ukrainian city, was thwarted and the eastern front appeared more stable. On Israel-Gaza war, Hezbollah fires over 200 missiles at Israel after commander's death. Hezbollah said that it fired over 200 missiles at Israeli military sites in reprisal for the killing of one of its senior commanders in southern Lebanon. On Wednesday, Mohammed Nima Nazar, a commander in Hezbollah Aziz unit, was eliminated, the Israel Defense Forces said, blaming him for directing terror attacks both before and after Hamas's October 7 attacks from Gaza. The IDF described him as a counterpart of Sami Taleb Abdullah, another Hezbollah commander whose killing last month also stoked a wave of retaliatory strikes. In reaction to the killing, Hezbollah on Thursday said it had launched more than 200 missiles of various types at Israeli targets. The Israeli military said that it intercepted some of those Hezbollah missiles as well as drones. Some fires broke out as a result of falling shrapnel. The IDF said their fighter jets have hit Hezbollah aims in southern Lebanon overnight on Wednesday into Thursday in response to those strikes. The IDF said they hit a military structure on 3 terrorist infrastructure sites. Hezbollah said on Thursday that one of its fighters had been killed. Nizar is the newest Hezbollah commander to be killed in hostilities that flared along the Lebanon-Israel border since the October 7 attacks. Firefighters worked to extinguish a blaze following an attack from Hezbollah in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights. Israeli fire services said on Thursday that they are working on numerous extensive fires in the north of the country as a result of heavy shelling from Lebanon. Over 10 fires broke out in the area of the Upper Galilee and the Golan Heights, the Israel Fire and Rescue North District said in a statement, with some of them creating very extensive fires in challenging terrain. More than 45 fighting teams and 10 aircraft were working in the region on 5 major incidents, according to the statement. Cross-border fire between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah has been an almost daily occurrence since the war in Gaza started, but it has been gradually increasing, raising fears it could escalate into a full-blown war. Hezbollah is one of the most powerful paramilitary forces in the Middle East, boasting of tens of thousands of fighters and a vast missile arsenal. The group has said its current round of fighting with Israel is to support Palestinians in Gaza. According to reports, Israeli attacks in Lebanon have killed over 300 Hezbollah fighters and some 90 civilians. Meanwhile, Israel says fire from Lebanon has killed 18 soldiers and 10 civilians. In part 2, I'll bring you stories from Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Zoom on Nigeria now, and we begin with judicial matters. Court verdicts reshapes politics in Edo and Rivers. Yesterday, 2 court verdicts upturned the political landscape in the 2 affected states, Edo and Rivers State. In a ruling in Abuja, a federal high court nullified the February 2022 primary election, which produced Isue Igodalo as the candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for the September 21st Edo State governorship poll, while the Court of Appeal, also sitting in the nation's capital, set aside the order made by the High Court of Rivers State restraining the 25 members of the Rivers House of Assembly who allegedly defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC) from further parading themselves as members of the Assembly and conducting legislative businesses. Until an appeal court set aside the High Court's ruling, it means that the PDP has no candidate in the Edo State Guber election, while the ruling by the appeal court means new headache for Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, as it means that he's back at the mercy of his arch-enemy, ex-Governor Wilson Wike, to whom the returned members owe their allegiance to. The Court of Appeal Abuja Division yesterday set aside the order made by the High Court of Rivers State preventing the 25 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly who supposedly defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC) from further parading themselves as members of the Assembly and conducting legislative businesses. In a unanimous ruling, a 3-member panel of the Appellate Court held that the Rivers State High Court lacked the jurisdiction to hear the case, which bordered on whether or not the seats of the lawmakers who allegedly defected were vacant or their terms had ceased. The court held that the provision of the Section 273, subsection 3 of the Constitution, it is only the Federal High Court that has the jurisdiction to determine whether or not the seat of a lawmaker is vacant or his term of office has ceased. In the lead judgment read by Justice Jimmy Bada, the court held that by granting the far-reaching order stopping the lawmakers from further acting as members of the Assembly without hearing from the appellant resulted to a denial of their right to a fair hearing. Justice Bada held that no urgency warranted the grant of the expert order by the Rivers State High Court. According to him, and I quote, the trial court ought to have listened to both sides before coming to a decision prejudicial to the appellant. The judgment was sequel to an appeal marked CA/PH/198/2024 filed by Martin Chike Umwahule and 24 others, with Victor Okojumbo, Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly, as respondent. Other members of the Court of Appeal panel, Justice Hamabarka and Bilkisu Aliu, agreed with the lead judgment. On climate crisis, 10 states grapple with flooding, 21 others at risk, says federal government. On Thursday, the federal government has said no less than 10 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, had either experienced various degrees of flooding or recorded casualties as rains increased. Professor Joseph Utsaf, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, who dropped the red alert in Abuja, cautioned that 21 more states might experience flooding. He stated this against the background of the Wednesday downpour, which grounded business and commercial activities in Lagos and Ogun states. The resulting flooding brought down a two-story building in the Mushin area of Lagos and overwhelmed residents, while pupils could not attend schools in parts of the state. Utsef explained that the annual flood outlook by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, released in April, had forecast that 148 local government areas in 31 states fell within the high flood risk areas. The affected states include Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Imo, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, and Kebbi states. Others are Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Plateau State, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, and Yobe states. The minister cautioned that cholera might spread further in Nigeria due to the flooding. He further stated that river flooding will start this month and will hit Ondo, Kaduna, Anambra, Benue, Adamawa, and 12 other states. Out of the 31 states where the annual flood outlook predicted will experience flooding, the incident had occurred in 10 states, according to him. And finally, on the news on economy, President Tinubu to inject 2 trillion naira into economy, inaugurates PECC. President Bola Tinubu has pledged to pump about 2 trillion naira into the economy to turn its fortunes around within 6 months. He gave the hint on Thursday in Abuja while inaugurating Presidential Economic Coordination Council, PECC. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, disclosed this after the inauguration. Lined by the chairman of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, chairman of Heirs Holding, Tony Elumelu, and the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, Edun said the 2 trillion naira initiative will go into power and energy, agriculture, amongst others, noting that the members are a mix of the top talents and stakeholders available in the country. He said that PECC is made up of members from the president's economic team, the National Assembly, and the elite organized private sector. Edo further said there are also executive orders signed by the president and are being gathered to reduce the cost of doing business in Nigeria. According to him, President Tinubu is focused on food security and has asked the Nutrition Council to go to work and provide for Nigeria's food at an affordable price. Another look at the top stories on election matters. Starmer pledges national renewal after Labour victory. Biden rejects calls to step aside, says he's staying. Gas leak at Malaysian airport seekings 39. US sends new fighter jets to Japan in $10 billion force upgrade, and violent attacks shock France before crucial vote. And that's all on the news. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your weekend.